and verse 16. John 3:6, John 3:6. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. For those who are according to the flesh and controlled by its unholy nature sets their mind on and pursues those things which gratify the physical flesh. Those who live by the corrupt nature has the corrupt nature attitude. Those who live in their human nature tells them to have their minds controlled by what human nature wants. It's in the DNA. The DNA knows exactly. I wonder how you're able to, when you say, I wonder where my keys are. And your mind, your DNA says it's on the desk out front. Now, how did it know to do that? It's implanted in your mind. Another way of saying that in verse 8, those who live following their sinful selves think only about things that our sinful selves want. Those who are living according to the flesh have their outlook shaped by things of the flesh. When you're looking at your life, your life is around those things of the flesh. Those who live according to the sinful nature have their mind set on what that nature desires. Those who are living by the natural inclination have their minds on the thing, on human nature desires. Those who are dominated by sinful nature think about sinful things. If men are controlled by their earthly nature, they give their minds to earthly things. For those who are habitually dominated by a sinful nature, put their minds on the things that are sinful nature. Their mind is constantly on what their nature tells them. An unbeliever's nature, they think exactly what their nature tells them. When you become a believer, you have a new nature, and you are dominated by that thought. We're not always perfect, but we are dominated by the thought that is spiritual. A mind that's dominated by the evil flesh. What we need to understand is the flesh in and of itself, in the moral aspect, is evil. It will lead to death. Notice the word are. It is a present tense indicating that this is a general pattern of their life, their lifestyle, or an habitual practice. In other words, it is something that it just looks natural. They are living in their natural habitat. They feel extremely comfortable in how they're living.
Oh yeah.
They're not upset by what they do and think. They really don't give any second thought as to why they are doing, because they are satisfying their nature. Before a person can perform the best of all acts, he must become a new person. Thorn bushes don't produce figs. Apple trees don't produce olives. And a natural man does not produce faith.
No.
It is not natural to believe in a gracious God. It is not natural to believe that the Word of God can survive all of the problems and the processes over the years. It is not natural for a natural man to fully believe. Why can't you understand it? It's natural for them not to understand it. That Paul, H.R. Ironside writes that Paul reminds us that there are two exact opposite principles, two utterly opposite standards of life to be considered here. They who are after the flesh are according to the flesh, continuously to the flesh. That is, the unsaved are dominated by a fleshly nature. They mind the things of the flesh. In those two tense words, the entire life of the natural man is summed up. In blessed contrast to those who live according to the Spirit of God. Saved men and women characteristically mind the things of the Spirit. They have a new nature that gives them the ability to say yes to the things of Christ, whereas before they were dominated, I'll do my own thing. So Paul explains the meaning of the flesh is death. And Paul is saying to you, you continue to live the pattern of your natural life. You were born with this. You're not deformed. You're not really handicapped. You may be quite brilliant. But your flesh, your nature, you were born with this idea that you do not necessarily need to live a life according to Christ. He who is thus Spirit controlled is lifted onto a new plane where death has no place and conflict is not known. Notice it says, are according to the flesh. Now, that word conveys the root meaning of down, which is the present context suggests domination. In the context, the phrase according to refers to basic spiritual nature and indicates one essential bent disposition. I'm sure most of us at one time or another have said about someone he's been on self-destruction. I'm sure most of us have known people who say if he keeps going down that path, if he keeps living that way, if he keeps dominating his life, it must lead to physical death. It will lead to destruction. You can see it. You know what? They may be able to see it, but they can't stop it. Because the flesh is that which controls you. Notice it says, do are set their minds to the things. It sets their mind to the things. Figuratively, that term means The mind is supposed to be the seat of all mental and emotional activities. I understand all things go through the mind. I feel like I'm headed this morning. You know how that feels sometimes?
Oh, yeah. You got that.
Really? I thought I was the only one.
I know exactly how you feel, brother.
The flesh, the mind can tell your body a whole lot of things,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
It can give you a mental or an emotional thought. I mean, it's the basic origin. When I go in tomorrow to the research center, they say, "How you doing?" Don't you just take that? Don't you say, "Well, how are you doing?" You know, when you go to dollar store and some clerk will say, "Well, how are you doing?"
They really don't want that.
And I say, "Well, I have prostate cancer. I'm not doing very well. I got a 38." You know, and I go on and on and on. Have you ever, have you ever got a speed ticket and you pay the ticket, they say, "Have a good day"?
Yeah.
Aren't they the dumbest things you've ever
Yeah, they
heard?
are.